Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to look at a very interesting deck that made top 8 at the Norwegian National Championships. This deck was made by a player named David Jensen, and I mean, this is a pretty awesome deck. So let's just take a look at it. It's going to revolve around Weavile, Execute, and Lopunny. What? Yeah. Alright, let's just take a look. So, Weavile, most people know what this card does. The attack Vilify is what we're going to be using most of the time. 30 times the number of Pokemon you discard from your hand. So, for as many Pokemon as you discard, you do more damage. That's the basic concept. If you discard 6 Pokemon, you're knocking out pretty much every Pokemon EX outside of the Mega Pokemon. And I guess Xerneas EX because it resists Dark. But anyway, most Pokemon EX get knocked out by discarding 6 Pokemon. So that's going to be the goal here with Weavile and Vilify. So our obvious partner here is Execute, since Propagation allows us to take it out of the discard pile. So every turn we just have a constant 120 damage once we get 4 Execute into the discard pile. So we can keep pulling them back out and keep using Vilify again. Pretty simple. Now the added partner to this deck is Lopunny. Now, this is going to be very strange. We do not see this card in competitive play whatsoever. And it's only going to be used because of its ability Big Jump. Once during your turn, you may return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it to your hand. Alright, so here's how this is going to work. A lot of the times, you play this deck and, you just need a couple more Pokemon in your hand to use Vilify. Or you're going to have to Juniper your hand away, discard your hand, or you'll get N down to a low hand size, and you really just need ways to get more Pokemon in your hand. Well, all you have to do is get a Lopunny into play, and then when you need to discard more Pokemon, you just use Big Jump, put it back into your hand, and discard it with Vilify. So this is, I would say this is not an obvious combo, but once you start using it, you're like, oh wow, this makes a lot of sense. So we're just going to run a bunch of Pokemon alongside Execute, and you're going to see how well this actually works. It kind of blew my mind when I first saw it. Beyond these Pokemon, we have 2 Sableye, just because Junk Hunt is pretty good. We can recover item cards. And then 2 Jirachi EX. This just allows us to search out supporters. Makes our deck a lot more consistent. And just make sure we can draw cards over and over and over. Yes, the 2 prize give up hurts. Since it is a 90 HP EX, it can be picked off with cards like Lysander or Pokemon Catcher. But it is definitely worth it just to be able to draw so many cards. Keep getting supporters like Professor Juniper over and over. Now that reminds me, our supporters here are actually very thin, but it ends up working out. A lot of this list is very clever. We have 4 Professor Juniper, this is our main draw card in the deck. 2 Colress, it's just a standard draw card as well, something that's going to draw us a lot of cards near the end of a game. And only 1 N. Each player shuffles in their hand, I mean you know what N does, but this is usually a card that people play 4 of, and there's only 1 in here. What's going on? And then 1 Lysander, which, is like a Pokemon catcher. Now, we also have 2 Palpad. Now, this is pretty cool. So, it's going to allow us to shuffle 2 supporters from the discard pile back into the deck. And basically, what this deck is trying to do is use Juniper as much as possible and just use Vilify every turn for one-hit knockouts. And with Palpad, we have 2 of them. So we could potentially use Juniper 8 times in a game if we wanted to. And by that point, we will run out of cards. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so we also have 1 Random Receiver, which can just hit any supporter. It's just the card that can be used, or card that can be brought back with Sableye's Junk Hunt to get a supporter back. If you have a dead hand, but you can Junk Hunt, you can always get a supporter with Random Receiver. Now, our ace spec for the deck is actually Scoop Up Cyclone. We do not see this very often at all. But this is another card that has some synergy with a card like Jirachi EX, where you don't really want it on your bench anymore. You can just pick it up, discard it with Vilify. Pretty cool. Also, if you start with an Execute, it does have 30 HP, and it's something you want in your discard pile. You can use Scoop Up Cyclone to pick it up. Another useful thing is you can actually Scoop Up Cyclone a Jirachi EX and then play it back down for another Stellar Guidance. So, kind of a cool A-spec card that has some nice synergy with this deck as well. Everything in this deck is very well thought out and very well done. Now we have a lot of searching cards for Level Ball, for Ultra Ball. This is pretty self-explanatory. We need to be searching for Pokemon constantly, and everything in the deck can be searched out by Level Ball. The reason we play Ultra Ball is to discard Execute, and also there's no drawback. Once you get 2 Execute in the discard pile, you can just Ultra Ball for free, basically, thanks to Propagation. We have 4 Dark Patch as Energy Acceleration, so we can constantly power up our Weavile. And here's something big. 3 Startling Megaphone. 3 of them. Now this is because Yveltal Garbodor has become probably the most popular deck, if not one of them. So Garbodor really hurts this deck. It shuts off our Propagation, shuts off our Big Jump, shuts off our Stellar Guidance, shuts down most of the deck. So with Startling Megaphone, we can get our abilities back, shut off that Garbotoxin, and go back to work using Vilify. If we can use this 3 times in a game, it's usually going to be enough to knock out 3 EXs or something like that to win. We can also junk hunt it back with Sableye, but we don't really want to do that all the time. Then we have 2 Super Rod just to shuffle stuff back into the deck, get some Pokemon, get some energy back, and 8 Darkness Energy. So again, I can't stress how cool this deck is. It's really amazing what people can come up with sometimes, and I do feel like this is one of the most fun decks I've seen in a while. And obviously, it had some success as well, a top 8 at a national championship. So hey, maybe there's some potential to this deck. But let's take a look at our good old Weavile Lopunny deck in action. I never really thought I'd see Lopunny in competitive play, but hey, crazy things happen. Alright, so we have 2 Buniri and a Sneasel. Look at how cute that Pokemon is. We're going to start off with Buniri since we can just big jump it back into the hand anyway. Seems to make sense. And then we'll go ahead and bench another Buniri and a Sneasel. I think it's Buniri, I don't know. Pokemon names are confusing. Alright, we're going to Ultra Ball, discard a Weavile and a Juniper so we can get an Execute. And just put that into the discard pile right away. And uh-oh, we have 2 Execute prized. That's not good. We'll have to see what we can do about that. And let's Juniper, discarding the Execute. We want to get that in the discard pile so we can just pull it right back out. And use Propagation so that it can fuel our Vilify with Weavile. So we're going to just pass the turn. After that, we can't really do much on the first turn with this deck. Turn 2 is when we can start to get our engine running and go from there. Alright, so Buniri is getting hit by a Hypnotoxic Laser, but that's alright. We can evolve right into Lopunny and big jump back to the hand if we need to. There is a Level Ball for a Sableye. And the DC goes on to the Yveltal EX. So we'll have to see if this is a Garbodor Yveltal deck or just a regular Yveltal deck. Who knows? But my opponent doesn't play a supporter, so I'm just going to Juniper this hand away. Getting rid of 2 Megaphones could be bad against a Garbodor deck, but hey, we'll take our chances here. We can always junk hunt with Sableye if we really needed to. Oh, wow. We got a monstrous hand here. Okay. So let's go ahead and Level Ball for an Execute. Now we'll have 2 of those to work with. And wow. Yeah, we drew pretty much everything. But this is just how awesome Lopunny is. Look. Most of the time this would not have been a knockout, but now we get to big jump the Buniri and the Lopunny back into the hand. And this means we can Level Ball for another Pokemon here. We already have 2 other bunnies in play, so we'll just grab another one and put that into the hand, and we can Vilify all 6 Pokemon into the discard pile. Goodbye, everything, and goodbye, Yveltal. I'll take my 2 prizes, thank you very much. Oh boy, what a big turn there. Turn 2, we just used Vilify for 180 damage to take down the big bad Weavile EX. Thanks to Big Jump and Propagation. And of course, Vilify. So from here, we got a long ways to go, but that was a pretty sweet turn 2, I must say. And let's see, we have an escape rope. I'm going to throw out the Buniri just because if I draw a Lopunny, I can just bring it back into my hand. But it looks like I did not. But I did draw a Jirachi EX, which is even better. So let's go ahead with the Jirachi EX Stellar Guidance for a Professor Juniper. Could have just done a Lysander onto the Sableye, but heck, let's just draw some more cards here. We'll retreat into Weavile, Dark Patch onto Sneasel, and then Juniper, the hand away, will Pal Pad to Juniper back into the deck, and look at how crazy this deck really is. It's just kind of running very smoothly here, and I'm very, very impressed with this kind of a thing. I can level ball here for a Lopunny, just so we can big jump again. And we just need 5 Pokemon to discard with Vilify to knock out this regular Weavile. Let's scoop up Cyclone, the Jirachi EX, back as well, just so we have another one to work with. You know, if we need to Stellar Guidance again at some point, that'll be pretty good. And let's Vilify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and knock out that regular Weavile. Pokemon like that are really tough to knock out with Weavile, I gotta say. The 130 HP non-EX Pokemon are super annoying, right? It just takes so many Pokemon to knock out. It takes 5 to knock out a regular Weavile, and then 6 to knock out an Weavile EX. It's just not very efficient. Alrighty, so now we have an opportunity to knock out this Sableye, so we can just go ahead and attach to the bench Sneasel. And then Propagation a few times. I don't really need to play a supporter this turn even. We have plenty of stuff going, and there is a Vilify, 90 damage. My goodness, we are just steamrolling my opponent here, and he just has to pass the turn again. And this means, alright, we can Propagation, that's Ultra Ball, away those 2 eggs for a Lopunny, and once again, look at how awesome this is. Big jump back into the hand. Propagation 4 times. Get those Execute back out of the discard pile. And Vilify 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Pokemon. GG. That's going to be a monstrous Vilify for 210 damage as Weavile takes the victory. Now, my opponent really didn't draw much that game, but I guess this was important to show off just how fast Weavile can be. Yeah, I mean, my opponent didn't put up much of a fight there, but this shows how powerful Weavile can just be. I mean, that was just knockouts every turn, starting from turn 2. We got knockouts over and over and over. Didn't matter which Pokemon it was, we got one-hit knockouts every turn, and that makes this deck crazy fun to use. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.